Hello, and welcome to Learning Without Tears, Ask an OT. I'm Katrina Erickson, and I'm an occupational therapist. I've been spending the majority of my career working with handwriting with children and their school readiness skills. And today I'm going to answer a question that was sent in to us through Facebook. And here's the question. It says, what is best to assist kids with learning correct grasp, pre-writing strokes, or scissor activities without touching and doing the activity hand over hand during COVID? Well, we're all in a new type of learning environment. Whether you're in a in-person teaching, you are doing your lessons through a hybrid type of approach, or you're all remote. You may be doing things synchronously and asynchronously. And I want you to know that the strategies that you'll use with children can be utilized in both type of situations, whether you're in person or at home. You just need to make sure that you get the help of the child's grown-up helper. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about why hand over hand is still needed during our pandemic. You know, I've consulted with some of my OT friends, so I was talking with Denise and Peter, and we were thinking about ways that we could maybe do some type of a replacement, but there's not really a replacement for hand over hand instructional strategies. Children really need that tactile and proprioceptive input to learn some basic skills. Not all children will need them, but most will need them at some point or another. And there's also a population that we have in special needs that really benefit from hand over hand. So if your students need it and you need to use it, there's not a replacement for it. It's so important that the children are getting that tactile and proprioceptive input from you, and then you start to back those prompts off so that your children can start to do it on their own. Now, of course, if your child needs that type of learning, you're going to want to make sure that you use gloves, lots of hand sanitizer and hand washing. Make sure you have your station set up so that when you're working with students, you can quickly go through that sanitation before you move on to another student. And I really suggest that you do this during small group or one-on-one teaching. And you'll be able to identify the students that are really going to benefit from those, okay? Now, other strategies that work for a lot of students are by breaking the task down into smaller, more achievable steps. And as OTs in our community, what we call this is task analysis. And so I'm going to walk you through that with scissor skills. Scissor skills are something that require a child to use a whole bunch of different skills all at once. But let's think about what the skills of using scissors are, for instance. So for using scissors, they first have to know how to hold them correctly. Like, where does their thumb go? Where do their fingers go? How do they hold the rest of their fingers? Then they have to learn how to open and close the blades on the scissors. Then they progress to doing this on paper by snipping the paper, not cutting along a line first of all. They start by snipping the edges of a piece of paper, and then they move into cutting lines, and then finally shapes and thinner lines, okay? So if we break that task of cutting down into those individual steps, one of the first things we would want to do is make sure that our students were holding them correctly. And we would want to model that and then have them put the scissors down and then pick them up and put them down so that they knew and developed a good automatic skill for doing that. So I like to mark my children's scissors with some duct tape, some colorful tape, so they know exactly where their thumb goes. And then we will just practice opening and closing, and we may do that to a rhythm. We may go open, close, and they will repeat that. I'll show them, and then they will imitate. Now, if your children are having a hard time with this type of coordinated movement, introducing them to tongs are a good activity. So here's some children's tongs. These are pretty fun to use, but you could also just use regular chopsticks and create what we call cheater chopsticks, okay? You can search online for how to make some cheater chopsticks. I happen to have some cheater chopsticks that are already made with a little kind of clothespin clip at the top. So all you have to do is push to close and then release to open, okay? So it helps to build that skill and strength of closing the blades of the scissors. And they could use this for sorting activities, but don't forget to check out how to make your own little cheater chopsticks. You could also use small tongs with your students and tweezers as well. So make sure that you're breaking the skills down for your students, whether it's scissors or grip, into small achievable steps, okay? Model those for your children, and if you need to use hand over hand, just use your good hand sanitation and healthy habits when you do those things. All right, now talking about grip, you've come to the right place for that, because what we do at Handwriting Without Tears and Learning Without Tears is that we already break those steps into what we call a achievable step. So we start with teaching pencil grip and crayon grip by showing them how to position their fingers. Now you could use your document camera or other types of projection technology to make a larger than life image of your hand and how your fingers are holding it, and ask your children to demonstrate that for you. Make sure that they have a nice bent thumb, and go around and check everybody. And those that you need to touch and move, go ahead and do that during that moment that you need to, and then do your proper hand washing or hand sanitation. And then have them drop it, and then have them pick it back up and see if they can't remember how to position their fingers without you having to go in and give that extra tactile or proprioceptive input. And so they're just going to pick up and drop it. And what we have at Learning Without Tears is music to help them learn and practice this skill. Music has a way of engaging children and helping them learn skills. So we have music to help them learn the proper finger placement for both pencils and crayons as well. All right, so make sure that you're modeling. You do good direct teaching. Show them how to do it. Make sure that they're imitating you. If you need to use hand over hand techniques with your students, there's no replacement for it. So you need to find a way to make that happen for your student. Don't forget to break it down into achievable steps. Use music and engagement to help them learn and remember the steps that they need to do. And don't move on too quickly through the steps because they need to master those earlier steps before, so that they can use them for cutting lines. And in writing with grip, they need to use that good grip to make strokes and shapes and also numbers and letters. All right. I hope that these have been helpful tips for you. If you have a question for us and we'd like to have it featured in one of our future upcoming Ask an OT series, make sure you drop us a comment on this video or send it in through Instagram or Facebook. All right, have a great day.